your stitching line, if you would. You have to mark it. And I can see where Katie has already gone ahead and done that. And then you mark it on the neckline as well. Whoops. And so I just want to make sure that where this crosses right here is a right angle. So we'll put that right here. So that's the intersecting point right there. So you're going to mark that neckline. It's the neckline, shoulder line intersection. Neckline, shoulder line intersection, wherever that point is. Are you with me so far? Okay. And so I'm going to move this down because the paper's wide. I really don't need all this paper, and so you can come over and do yours. I'm going to move this off for 1 second. Okay. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and we want to extend this seam line or stitching line. We want to go ahead and from where that intersection point is, you extend it out 1 inch. If you were a man, because their shoulders are generally a little wider, then you go ahead and you're going to extend it out about 1 1/4 inches. And so if we were actually making a pattern for Caleb or Preston, we'd have to do 1 1/4, and that's the reason. But women are typically 1 inch. All right, so where that is, I'm going to put a little dot right there so you can see what I've done. Okay, everybody good? So far, easy, right? All right. So what we're going to do is, let me go ahead and, you know what, let me do this differently here, because this will be easier for you to see. I am going to move this back up. Let me just redo that 1 inch mark again one more time. Okay. All right. That point is then, you go ahead and you identify where your your buttonhole is. And now I will say that if you have to lengthen or shorten this, you might want to lengthen or shorten it before you do the roll line, or you're going to have to come back and readjust it. But we're going to make the leap that you're okay. But if we have to adjust it, it's just a redrawing. All right. Since we have agreed that we're going to end right across from where that buttonhole is, it may be helpful just to draw that line. And Katie has already gone ahead and marked all of her stitching lines. And so again, I'm with a little dot there because everything goes to the stitching, nothing ever goes to the cutting line. All right, so you make sure. And then it's just a matter of going ahead and connecting the dots, literally connecting the dots. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in line right here, and I'll draw this. It's my ruler's just a smidge short, so I'll go ahead and move that up, and then I connect the dots all the way, and this tells me where my roll line is, just like that. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just draw 2 lines. I don't know if my ruler moved or what happened here.
I messed up earlier.
We won't tell. It was just a smidge off, but it's not a problem. Okay? Easy, right? There's only 2 places you have to mark your roll line. One is on the jacket front, and the other is in the undercollar. Now we're going to go to the undercollar. So it's a straight line from there to this point, and again, that point where the roll line bends over is called the break point, and that's what it's talking about in here, referring to the break point. Okay? Everybody good? Now let's go to the undercollar. So since this has to be a contiguous line all the way from the jacket front all the way around in the undercollar, because you can't have your jacket front rolling one place and your collar rolling the other, you get a funny little bubble wrinkle in your garment. We want to make sure that these 2 lines connect. So we're going to do a couple things. Katie already had this. What size are you, sweetie?
I'm doing 16.
Okay. All right, so you have to mark the 16, and you have to mark the 16. You should have dots right here, and these dots should go ahead and correspond with that roll line. So I am just going to go ahead and mark this right here. And so I'm just going to draw my line right here. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just marking it on my stitching line. And so can you see where I started it? Can you see that? Is it hard to see? It's right here. Now notice I didn't continue it all the way down yet. The rounded area is the neck. The straight line is the outside. Okay, so it's easy to remember. Now, there are a couple things in a good quality garment that the back of the collar will cover that seam line at the bottom of that neck area. And what you are needing to do is to go ahead and you're going to help your pattern out and make sure that it actually covers this. Patterns do not do this. You have to physically go in and make that happen. And the other way is that we're going to reinforce that by making sure that we do something when we actually construct the collar. So we're not going to worry about the construction, but now we're going to deal with the pattern making part of it. All right, and Katie has her pattern already marked on the stitching lines. So from stitching line over to the intersection of the other stitching line, so from dot to dot, if you would, I'm going to measure this. And it's 3 inches. That's a pretty normal length, height. And so when we're looking at the slope of the collar, how much that is, we actually go ahead and divide that collar up in here, and if this is our seam line, this collar is going to, we didn't have it folded, it's going to generally, it folds about halfway. And this part right in here is called the stand. And the stand is the part that's right against the neck. And in my jacket, you can see that they actually have added an actual stand in the garment. And the roll line is just right above that. And that's pretty typical. That's usually the way it works. So this part from here, I'm going to borrow one of your pins. From this part where it actually folds over down to that seam line is the stand. This part that comes over this is called the fall. So this will be the fall area right here. And the fall obviously comes down here so that when you have your collar, it's going to go ahead and, it's not even going to curve that much, it's going to be a straight collar. It's just going to be pretty much like that, all right? So what we are trying to do is to make the fall just a little bit longer than what the stand is. If you have them exactly even, what happens is sometimes it comes in that seam kind of peaks out, and you don't want that to happen. So we go in and make that adjustment. So what we're going to do is we know that this is 3 inches. So if we have 3 inches, obviously divide that by 2, we have 1 1/2 inches. We want to have the fall be just a little longer. So instead of having this part 1 1/2 and the stand 1 1/2, we're going to go ahead and make the stand part 1/8 of an inch less. So this will be 1 3/8, and this will be 1 5/8. You see how I did that math?
So you said the stand is 1/8 shorter than the fall?
The stand is going to be 1/8 shorter, correct. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here and mark this. So instead of it being right in the middle, it's going to be 1/8 of an inch less. So this part from here to here will be 1 3/8 inches. This part should then come up to be 1 5/8, and it is. So I hope you don't mind me writing on your pattern.
Nope.
Okay, because I can erase it. All right, so this part right here, once I have where my stand actually is going to be, this originally where it was, this is now really where we're creating it to go, then what we're going to go ahead and do is that we're going to go ahead and have this part right in here, and I'll draw this line, but eventually you're going to go ahead and this collar is going to go like this, see if I can get this to turn around. And see, and there's your collar right in through there. Let's see if I can get, because there's your collar. Okay, and it's gonna come down. So let's see here, if we can put this back on here.
So how much do you move it from there to there?
There's 1/8 of an inch difference. And I find that that's a good amount, no matter where, what kind of fabric, however thick your fabric is. That's a pretty good amount. Okay, so this is actually going to go on here, and this is our roll line right here. Can you see it? Okay, and so that when we fold this over, there's our collar, our lapel and our notch collar. Are you with me? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now, some of you are going to have more curve than this. Some of you, and this one is not as curved, is what oh, extra pin, I don't know where that came from. So, you can take and do this, freehand, or you can go ahead and do this with a very formed curve, but going for where this intersection is, you're going to connect these two lines right in here. So it's going to have a slight curve, just like that. So there you go. That's it. It's all done.
So are those, like those dots right there on that side, are
Mhm.
those at the center of the
This
collar?
this is where that inside notch part is, right here, where the collar is. You know, it's this point right here
Okay.
is where that is.
Mhm.
Okay? Because let me pin this back on one more time just to make sure that you're good. See, and this actually will come in here, and these will line up just like this. And this kind of shapes around. Obviously, it's a curve, and you have to clip, so it's not going to lay real flat right now. Let's see. Hang on 1 second. Get this moved over just a hair. There. Okay. And it's actually going to go ahead, and this will be the roll line. So the roll lines will go ahead and connect. You see this roll line, and it's connecting here. It's a contiguous line. Are you good? Does that make sense? So that when I fold it on this roll line, I fold it back. Here's the lapel and everything. That this is going to go ahead and fold in and have a nice smooth line all the way around. If I can get this to roll. Paper doesn't cooperate all the time, but there we go. And that'll come around your neck of your collar, like that. Can you see it?
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Any questions?
I have a quick question.
Please.
So these two lines, they aren't supposed to connect like this and that?
Let me know. Good question. Did I put something on here wrong? Oh, I went by the wrong line. My error. Yeah, that's how come. No, there's a crease here and, you know, yeah, I know. I just misread it. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, they're supposed to connect. So this part is here. That's why this part wasn't as curved as what it was originally supposed to be. I had this line on here wrong. I had the dots lined up, but I just misread the pattern. That's fine. No problem. No problem.
Jacket is nice today.
You know what? Everybody makes an error. I just misread it. So, okay. So we're going to go ahead, and this line is correct, but this line has to be adjusted.